It is an interesting like proposition you bring up about whether, do you want flat out, you're not going to get a ruling from any judge on this case as to the definitive final answer of like, are these securities? Was it fraud? Because we haven't even gotten to that point. No hearing has taken place that had anything to do with what the corrupt SEC's bullshit original complaint was. I mean,
Right.
nothing about it has even been acknowledged. All that we've had is a motion to dismiss hearing, and we're now over 90 days out from that. It happened on Halloween. So, yeah, it's one thing I was just going to say, and I think we're getting to the point here where the hurting of the investors in this ecosystem has gone way too gone on for way too long now, and I don't want to blame the judge at this point because I think she is probably sifting through. Like, actually, I bet she wishes she could have gotten a ruling out by now if I
Yeah.
were to bet on it. And there's been all of these overhauls. She knows this administration is changing. She is seeing that the SEC literally just today, the news was that we're going to get to 50 crypto specific, I believe it was, attorneys were reassigned. They got rid basically of 50 crypto attorneys, which I think was basically the whole task force. I think I read that that was most of their entire allotment to crypto. The main guy that's now, I think they said he's in janitorial work or something like that. They moved
IT.
yeah, IT. There you go. Which is all it's still weird though. But they moved. He was involved in, like you told me, in the Ripple and Coinbase case. So he was like one of their big time attorneys. So I'm imagining Judge Carroll is seeing that all this is happening and is maybe getting some word from the SEC and is maybe afraid to render a decision. Which, look, I've said this a million times. I think you agree, Ewok. Like, even though it's not what we would want, and it would definitely not be the end of the world. I thought that maybe parts of their complaint she would dismiss and let the rest of it move forward. So if she's waiting to not do that, to drag us out for, she's going to set another court date 90 days down the road for the next hearing or whatever to take place. Why do that if it looks like that the SEC is just going to give this thing up? But the thing is, we haven't gotten these wheels are moving a little bit slowly here, even though we are just 2 weeks into Trump's administration. The SEC is reforming. We are starting to see these things happen, but we don't have any definitive word yet that it's like, hey, this lawsuit is dropped. I do think Richard feels confident of something happening here, though. I mean, it certainly seems that way with the way that he's been speaking. I'm sure he would never say something out of turn or anything like that, but his attorneys are not dumb. He's not dumb. The SEC is also airmailing kind of what they're doing here a little bit. So he seems to be very confident. I just don't know in what form we're going to have this happen, but we're over 90 days since this damn hearing took place and we still don't have anything. And it's just getting kind of preposterous.
Well, so this is really out of the norm. For most, they say a ruling comes out 60 to 90 days. But that average never includes change of administration, all these things changing in the middle of a judge trying to make a decision. She's getting all this stuff thrown at her now that she also has to take into consideration that could have probably, she could have had 17 of 20 pages written, and now this, and now essentially has to start over. Go back and look at it now with this in mind instead. So maybe she's just waiting for them to come out with something set before they continue to make changes. Like, because every day we're seeing something new. And I think maybe she's waiting for them to just put a pause on the new things or get things figured out with the staff of what's going on, who's in charge of what for sure, where all the lawyers are going to be gone. Now, I heard there was over 1,000 SEC lawyers.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think I thought there were closer to 100 that were based on crypto. So this was like half of them. I could be wrong, but I did read that somewhere, or I thought I did. So yeah, I mean, what cases are getting dropped? What's continuing? I think there's a lot of things that they just need to figure out. And this is not one of the normal 60 to 90 day responses that are part of just, normal everyday business. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, if them assigning all their attorneys in crypto cases to other things isn't a sign, I don't know what else is. I just don't know. Maybe
Right.
nuclear herbs would have to say this. I guess it would just be the SEC as an entity withdrawing the lawsuit. But in what way will this officially take place? How will this
Right.
end? I mean, we have to have some mechanical way that this thing comes to some sort of an end. And I do think that's what we're headed for. And I understand what you said, Ewok, about I want a definitive, I want this into case law. I want, so, because you kick the can down the road
Right.
and, and we could be looking at in 4 years, I don't know, President Buttigieg, or I don't know, pick your corrupt leftoid, but we could have that. I don't think we will. I get the vibe that that Vance might start to carry the Republican Party, and that maybe we'll still see them in power here. But um, I get what you're saying, though. You don't want to kick the can down the road, and a lot of us are probably like, "Hey, I'm invested now. That's another 4 years away. I don't want to get into that shit. I don't care. I just want this thing out of the way." And I understand that sentiment. Actually, it's probably the side I lie on, because I'm also wondering if just crypto, 4 years is a long time in crypto, and we may get so far in terms of things that are happening, how widely accepted it is. Democrats are probably going to have to open up to it more. They were already starting to, and maybe we do just see that they're leaving it alone more. Like in four
Yeah.
years, it's a little bit more widely accepted. So maybe you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, by not necessarily getting the case law, but people are just like, okay, this stuff is here to stay, and whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, in that case, then I guess we would look for a dismissal without prejudice or something like that, where they do just drop it and they can't bring it back up. And I think if that is the case, she may have to really cross all her T's, dot all her I's to make sure that there
And
was no
lowercase j's too. Yeah.
yeah, all of that good stuff. Make sure all the dots are in place. But I think maybe just have to verify that there is no fraud taking place, and that would take quite a bit of research, probably. So, yeah, I mean, that would be the preferred ending of it, is just a dismissal.
Yeah.
But then again, you get into that jurisdiction thing, is what they're trying to do. That also plays into taxes, right? I mean, if the whole tax rule goes into effect, where coins based in the United States are subject to zero income tax, well, then we kind of want jurisdiction to be in the United States. So if it's
I
not
don't
in the
think that's
United
going to
States,
happen, by the way, but
well,
yeah.
I don't either, but maybe not this time around. But depending on what kind of tax overhaul does happen, it could happen down the road, right? So we get one or the other. They don't have jurisdiction, and it's got to be dismissed, or they do have jurisdiction, and now it's considered a United States token. So
Yeah.
you've got one or the other, and both of them are a win technically, if that's the case for for taxes down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, we shall see. I think Eric Trump, what pisses me off about that story, and I know we didn't get a chance to get into that last week, Eric Trump speculated about that. What I don't like is Yahoo and all these other shit outlets basically took it as gospel and wrote headlines as if it's already going into effect and
Right.
stuff like
Right.
that. Like totally, totally misrepresented it. And frankly, it wouldn't be good. I mean, like, I understand it. There's like, it goes back to the whole, like, crypto is not separated by country. Like, you just can't do that. This stuff is on the blockchain. Like, I understand it's like, oh yeah, don't tax stuff in America and stuff like that. That's fine. But I mean, like, this is the blockchain. It's not in or out of America. I mean, you could say that about like Ripple, like, since they're actually more of an entity, I mean, like,
Sure.
but when it comes to stuff that literally is only, like, you can't say that about Bitcoin. You can't say it about Ethereum. You can't say it about Pulse Chain. Like, it just, there's no way to do that,
Right.
So,
Yeah, you would definitely have to generalize it and say just no tax on crypto, no matter where it's from.
sounds good
Because
to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Well, there's a couple clicks of a button on Coinly that can kind of make that happen. It's just a
True.
matter of, what happens after you do that. So,
Subject to audit.
exactly. Yeah. All right. So bullish stuff. I mean, like, good stuff coming from the SEC there. We'll see. I mean, it's great. It sounds fantastic. I love seeing the news. It's just like, nothing really matters when prices are, Ethereum. I hate to keep going back to it, but Ethereum is still where it's at right now. And I just want to see that stuff start to move. So we shall see if it does.